Rack and roll, shadows of Centris. Reggie just sits as he contemplates what had happened. It had been good. It had been really, really good. He was sore, he was still tired, and he wondered. It was good. It was very, very good, but the click of a device causes him to turn. One of Shireen's bodies has been extended into the room and had taken a picture of him. Sorry, it's just, you've got a system-class look of awe on you. That's an ego booster, she says as another of her bodies slithers out of the next room and gives him a hug. Still need to get used to the idea that you're lovable. I get it. It's not that it's... I don't know what to call it, Reggie says, and the camera holding Shireen hugs him as well, even as all the rest snake in to hold him. Say what you will about how alien Elitis is. They're good at cuddling, probably due to the fact that they quickly organize themselves and work together. Oh? Is another round starting, or are we just basking in each other? Misty asks, and Reggie glances over to see the woman sauntering in wearing only lingerie. Hubby needs cuddles. He's still conflicted, Shireen says, and two of her main bodies move away to give Misty room to hug him as well. Conflicted you may be, Reginald, we are not. You want us with you? We're with you, Misty remarks before giggling. But you don't even know me. We've got time. You're young again. I can become young whenever I want, and Shireen's plenty young. I want you. She wants you. You showed us how much you wanted us last night. That's all the big things taken care of. The details can be taken one at a time. You make it sound more like an engineering problem than a relationship. Aren't those supposed to be stickier and more challenging? Reggie asks. You consider starship and weapon maintenance easier than relationships? That's adorable, Shireen gushes. There's a bit of a thump and Reggie turns to look. Sorry, my tail thrashes around when I get excited sometimes. There's a lot of reasons Lidis keep their main bodies well away from everyone else. Did you break anything? Misty asks, and one of the Shireen bodies zips back into the next room where the main body is. Knocked over a lamp. It's not broken though, not even scuffed. The body holding Reggie from his left reports. That's all right then. Now who's doing what today? Misty asks. I've got to go into the office. We're trying to upgrade the graphics engine from last generation, but there are a few issues that refuse to go away. I've been hammering at them for a week straight without much progress, Shireen admits. Oh dear, and I have to get to the boutique, otherwise I may start to take a hit to the reputation for reliability. Well, okay. Reggie begins. Well, I could take Reggie with me. No doubt the office would love to have him around, Shireen remarks. We may have to. The boutique is expecting quite the influx today, and there's little room for distraction, Misty says. Actually, I didn't think of that. A man in perpetual season in the office? Nothing would get done. Shireen realizes as her mind goes through the entire office being held up with her trying to keep everyone off her man and the rest trying to pile on. She may be 6-1, but she'd still easily be outnumbered in a hurry. Ladies, Reggie says a bit more loudly than he'd have liked. I also have work today. In 2 hours I report in for an engineering shift. I'll be in the portside factory bay performing maintenance, and if I run out of things to fix, clean, or examine, I'm to give the electrical systems in that area a once-over in a search for damaged wiring or loose connectors. My day is very full. So you start at 10 and are back at 2, that's perfect. I'll swing around to pick you up right after. 6, Reggie remarks. Pardon? Shireen asks. My shift is 8 hours long, not 4. Reggie remarks and both women give each other an odd look. But there's only one of you. How do you switch out when you get tired? Shireen asks from several mouths at once. I don't. Not unless there's a lot of breakdowns and a huge mess waiting for me. It's mostly monotonous and dull. The first hour is just listening to the workers there tell me how the machines were operating in the last week. If nothing major comes up, I go from area to area looking at all the readouts and gauges and then do a quick visual inspection. Nothing shows up and I have them run some things off the production line and observe it every step of the way. Nothing happens and I go through some basic cleaning cycles then. By that point, I should have 3 hours left to just look around for anything possibly wrong in the surrounding ship systems. And if something does happen? Misty asks, and Reggie can't help but smile. It's nice, really nice that they're this worried for him. That depends entirely on what happened, but generally we shut off the power, clean the area around the damaged part, and then replace the damaged component. That's if it's damage. If it's just misalignments or something like that, we just deal with it. Generally, a quick tune-up and cleaning is enough to solve most problems, Reggie explains as he starts to grow a little crowded in with the hug. It's been going on for minutes at this point, and though it feels and smells good, it's still very, very warm. It only takes a little squirming for the 2 to 7 women to let go. Whichever Shireen counts for, she was clearly taking her lead from Misty, who's a very attentive woman. I'll get breakfast started. I'm ravenous, and I'm sure you both are as well, Shireen says as her main body stalks into the room and she has it carefully maneuver around them to make her way into the kitchen. I need to dress myself and give my carapace a good scrub. Play nice while I'm dressing. Misty bids them as she saunters back to whence she came. There's a flurry of sounds from the kitchen and Reggie stands up and walks into the kitchen. He contemplates saying something, but Shireen has proven jumpy at times and he's right behind the large main body with its enormous finned tail. Seeing as how being swatted like a literal fly isn't on his list of things to do today, he carefully walks around and stands out of the way, but in sight of her leftmost bodies. She doesn't notice him. He coughs slightly and there's an EEP and a thump as the 6-headed woman reveals just how badly she gets tunnel vision, and that Reggie was wise not to be behind her as the tail hits the wall. I'd have figured you'd have seen or heard or, hell, even smelt me with all the sensory organs you've got. Reggie notes, and most of Shireen buries her embarrassment by working faster to make the meal, and the one closest to Reggie crosses her arms in an angry huff. She's still 5'6" embarrassed, but 1/6 angry is still a problem. Sorry, I just wanted to ask a question, he says, and she clearly, obviously tries to stay angry, but it falls apart quickly and she nods. What is it? Is something wrong? I was just curious about the reaction to my workday. 8 hours isn't very long. I've pulled overtime at 12 hours before and even went for a reed-eye burn of 16 a few times helping put the Dauntless together. Why is... Reggie begins explaining and all movement just stops as all of Shireen turns to stare at him. The leftmost body he's nearest to is staring with her jaw hanging loose. He reaches out and gently pushes it up with a finger. A 16-hour workday, she demands in shock. The reed-eye shift is a beast. As bad as that, though, is the doctors can and regularly do run double reed-eyes, 32-hour shifts. It gets better. After the huge hack that compromised the Dauntless, the computer technicians and intelligence division ran quadruple reed-eyes, 74-hour shifts on and off for 2 weeks before finally relaxing. How? Shireen demands in shock. Power naps at your workstation. Sleep in your uniform and snack while you go to keep moving. If there's a job to do, you do it, even if it feels like it's going to kill you, otherwise it actually might. That's the reality of working on an experimental prototype spaceship, Reggie explains before leaning over to look over at the stove. Is that supposed to be smoking? Oh shit, 6 Shireen states, and thankfully they don't tie themselves into a knot trying to save the meal from burning. Something smells a little overdone. Is something the matter, Shireen dear? Misty asks, walking in wearing a simple but well-stated white gown with purple accents. I distracted her at a bad moment, apparently. The fault is mine, Reggie says. Oh, and what was so shocking? Misty asks. He's being run like a slave on that awful ship, Shireen huffs. I am not. I get paid a lot of money for every aspect of my job, from repair to patrol, from combat to guard duty, and much more. Sure, there are some shit shifts, but that's life, Reggie protests. 74 hours on unending labor is horrible, Shireen protests. Those are emergencies only. As in, we're not sure we're going to live through this if we don't buckle down and work our asses off to stay alive. Reggie counters, and Misty looks from him to her and grins. So, you're an endurance predator, are you? Misty asks, and Reggie nods. Yay, oldest form of hunting humans have. Spook something into running and track it down over the next few hours. Just keep scaring it, and eventually it can't even lift its head as you cut its neck. Works best if you can run it in a circle so you don't have far to carry the body back. Which means, as a race, you're incredibly dedicated to wearing down your opponents. BMOs tend to be hard-working and long at the post, but that generally means a 6-hour shift, not an 8-hour one with possible extensions. Misty considers. Though that does explain last night. You kept going after the first few attempts and learned as you went on and on. So, how long is an average work shift the galaxy over? Reggie asks. 4 standard hours for 3 days, then 3 off, Misty remarks. How do you get anything done? Reggie demands in shock. By working really, really hard for those 4 hours. You are trying to wear your problems down. We are trying to slam into them and destroy them as swiftly as possible. You jog to the goal, we sprint. Misty replies, and Reggie goes to answer before pausing and thinking. Yeah, I suppose that would work. Go super hard for 4 hours and you can easily get 2 or 3 times the workload in. Reggie considers. Oh, so you're not working as hard for those silly lengths of time. That makes a lot more sense. Shireen remarks, and Reggie considers. There's no real way of knowing if the aliens are actually working harder at all. After all, with pursuit predation, it may take you longer to get to where the prey went, but the prey is already half dead by the time you catch it, and you're still strong enough to carry it home. It's done, but you're only at the halfway mark. Maybe, he begins, then trails off. Maybe we should visit each other's work to make sure. Put your fears to rest and such, and we can make a proper judgment.